All right, people are starting to filter in. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We'll give it a minute or so until we get to a good capacity, and we'll kick things off. Right. Two quick notes before we do get started. First, this info session is being recorded, and we'll distribute a link to view along with a copy of the presentation in the coming days. Second, we will have some time to take some questions at the end of the presentation. Please use the Q&A function that you'll see at the bottom of the screen there to submit, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can in the time that's allotted. And if we do not get to answer all the questions, we'll be sure to follow up offline for anyone that submits that we do not get to. So we are looking pretty good. We can give another minute, and then we will get started. All right, I think we're in pretty good shape. So now we'll kick things off, turn the program over to the team at AECOM Tishman. Gareth, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning, everybody. I hope I'm coming through loud and clear. Welcome today on this beautiful August 1st, 2023 to our webinar. My name is Gareth Middleton. I work for AECOM Tishman, and you'll hear more about what we're doing on this project in a minute, but I'd like to thank you all for your time and joining us in supporting the efforts of not only AECOM Tishman, but NJEDA in the state of New Jersey, and building economic vitality and increasing the awareness of this project, and allowing all of you, hopefully, with an opportunity to participate in some way, or some of you. But let's hope we can all learn some more today and make sure you're informed as to what we're doing down here. Next slide, please, Ben. Okay, so the purpose of what we're doing today is we're seeking qualified subcontractors and suppliers. Now, this is construction work. This is construction subcontractors, self-perform contractors, and material suppliers or vendors that would supply for this project, which is a heavy civil infrastructure project. And we're doing this for upcoming projects and opportunities at the wind port. I'll talk a minute and about the phasing of the project, and then Bob and Rosanna will go into more of the specifics about what is on the horizon. Next slide, please. So where is the New Jersey wind port? Some of you may know about it, because I see some registration sheet that we have some familiar names on the list who are either participating in the project already or have attempted to and are interested and have visited the port. But the port is a greenfield port, and I'll show you some images in a minute. It's on the eastern shore of the Delaware River in Salem County, New Jersey. The New Jersey wind port will be, as you'll see in a minute, is destined to be the first purpose-built wind port on the east coast of the United States, and perhaps the entire United States. Next slide, please. Today, attendees will learn of several of our near-term opportunities, how to become pre-qualified to bid to AECOM Tishman. Once again, I'll tell you about the arrangement in a minute. What is our bid process, and what are the timelines that we anticipate for some of these opportunities? Thank you. Next slide, please. So here's the agenda for today. First, I'll discuss the team, those here on the webinar and the team at large, followed by some overview of the project. Then we'll dive into the opportunities, the timeline, and then finally, the most important part, the process for firms to become engaged with AECOM Tishman on this project. We'll attempt to save some time for questions and answers, but as Ben said, we have received some questions in the registration process, and we will provide an email at the end of the seminar where questions can be submitted afterwards. So with that, let's dive right in. So quickly on the team, as I mentioned before, the NJEDA, or the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, is the owner of this project. They are they are building what will amount to approximately a 200-acre or so new port development in support of the offshore wind industry. This port is adjacent to a site known as the Salem and Hope Creek nuclear plants, and a partner on the project as the landlord is PSE&G. And we have other consultants on the project, particularly the designer of record, Moffitt Nickel, and supporting firms WSP and AKRF. Down at the bottom is AECOM Tishman. AECOM Tishman is a construction subsidiary of AECOM, our parent firm, and we've been retained by the state to deliver this project under a construction manager at risk agreement. We hold all subcontracts with performing contractors, suppliers, consultants, and vendors. We're currently in the midst of what we call phase 1A and B. Next slide, please. This is who's on the call today. I have with me two of my very close associates, Rosanna Caputo, our commercial director, Bob Smith, our deputy director. He's focusing on procurement, and myself, Gareth Middleton. Next slide, please. So to give you some geographic awareness of where this place is, it is about as far away in New Jersey as you can get to. It is literally at the end of the road. It sits within a lovely village called Lower Alloways Creek Township, which is largely rural and farmland. It sits below the Delaware Memorial Bridge at essentially the mouth of the Delaware Bay. I live in northern Monmouth County, and it is about 130 miles on the ground, but the time that it takes to get there is considerable. I think that most of our team consider a 1-hour commute to be reasonable. It is remote, and that brings its own challenges, and we'll talk about more of that when we get on. But it is a beautiful location on the Delaware River. Next slide, please. So this is a graphic stolen from the EDA. Jonathan Kennedy and his team often prepare this and present this slide. So there's some factoids in here. So again, it's in Lower Alloways Creek Township. It's purpose-built, meaning that this had no former life as any kind of facility. It is out of the ground, new. At its full build, it'll be about 200 acres and will provide for the co-location of manufacturing and marshaling. Marshaling, another word for staging. And that's what's happening in the lower right-hand side of the image. It's a publicly funded project, and it will create in the long term anticipated above 1,500 jobs after the port is operational, in addition to the hundreds of construction jobs that have been created to date. And there's another fact at the bottom, which I can't confirm or deny, but it is a massive, last week, one of the first tenants signed on. So there is a financial upside to this port downstream for many years to come. There's some information as a link at the bottom of the screen there, which brings you to the EDA website where you can find out some more information. Next slide, please. This is an aerial or a representation of the project and its phasing. It is a planned 2-phase development. Everything you see in blue, including the dark blue to the left, is being accomplished at the moment. We're currently far along in parcel A, and you'll see some images in a minute at the center left there. And what we're going to be talking about today is the work that will continue to the east. East is page north in parcel C. Other parcels, G and E, are downstream. And then in the second phase, we begin to attack the balance of the site that you saw on that previous rendering. Next slide, please. So here's some progress photos of what's happening out there. These were shot with our drone. We fly the drone bi-weekly, and we shoot video and otherwise. And this is a picture from July. We are actually a bit further along, but this shows some of the work that commenced back in the earlier part of July in the river, driving piles. And some of this you can't see because it's obscured, but a lot of the wharf has been completed. This to the right of the shot is the wharf that's being constructed to accept the ships that will deliver goods and equipment to the port. And to the left is some of the ground improvements that we've done, which is the majority of the work is a large fill job. So there is mass earthwork, as you can see from some of the equipment. If I had showed you this picture, maybe a week or two later, you'd see a lot more of these tractor-drawn pans. Anyway, next slide is a picture from another angle. This is shot from the southwest, looking the other way. Towards the top of the picture, there with that white area is where we're going to be discussing in a moment, the area that we call C, parcel C, and more specifically parcel C1. So I think that, if I'm not mistaken, we may have one more slide before I turn it over to Bob. Yes. So Bob, would you take it from here, please, on the opportunities?
Hi, yes, good morning, everybody. Excited to be on this job, and where the next package coming out, as Garrett was saying, is C1. Next slide, please. I'm sorry. There we go. Thank you. So C1 here is what we're working on right now, as far as the next packages, the next opportunities coming up. Parcel A will be pretty much completed once this work actually starts. This fencing line will be up and well underway. B1 is right here, very close by. That might be the storage area for the stockpile material. So that gives you the general layout of where C1 is versus the project. So next slide, please. There we go. Let's walk through the packages real quick. Including the earthwork package would be like a 1/4 acre wetland restoration using on-site saved topsoil. There is approximately 1.6 acres of design build ground improvements using drill grouted columns, elements approximately 5 foot by 5 foot. Included as part of the ground improvement is a requirement for a load transfer platform using DGA tech and geotextiles over the grouted column elements. That's all design build. So the testing and inspection requirements are extensive, includes pile integrity testing, test columns for design verification. So it's a very, very important part of the this package. Coordination is key with existing and new utilities that's going to go in. So we have to coordinate with 3D modeling. We like to get a complete coordination package put together for this. Currently, we are building C1 surcharge embankment, which is over 43,000 cubic yards. This embankment will be moved to taken to B1 parcel. The rate of removal of the C1 surcharge will be about 12,000 cubic yards a day minimum. We're looking, it's very aggressive. The work should start like mid first quarter of 2024. So that's the first package. The second package is H2O supply and drainage, includes 3 foot tall precast storm pods and treatment chambers with filtered by perlite, 550 linear feet of 36-inch RCP piping for storm drainage, 600 feet of reinforced concrete trench drain, 450 foot of wire line, and new precast manholes. What did I do here? Undo. Okay. Package 3. Now package 4 is electrical. That's underground utility work for duct banks, about 1,300 linear feet of concrete encased electrical communication duct bank, 1,100 square linear feet of direct burial conduit, 4 new vaults. And this package has no cabling, it just pulls strings. We want to just, that'll be part of phase 1 east. That's when the cabling will be pulled in. Got to make sure you connect to the existing system that will be installed in parcel A, and you need to support the 3D modeling with this package. This work to start mid second quarter of 2003. The aggregate pavement is about, it needs to support 3,000 pounds per square foot. So it's a very aggressive, very sturdy platform. It's over about 5 acres of finished aggregate pavement. The pavement is about 24 inches thick of DGA with 2 layers of geotech. Just a factoid, the DGA is about 30,000 cubic yards. That's how much import fill we're going to need for that. Testing inspection again is very important in fine grading. This is your finished product. This work should start early third quarter of 2024. Then the last package will be the new security fencing, and that includes its entire C1 site. So that'll pretty much cover the packages. Next slide, please. Here's a few photographs. The first photograph shows wick drains. That's not part of this work, but a big part of this package for C1 is the storm pods that I mentioned earlier. There's like over 12,000 square feet of storm pods in C1, so there's a lot of work there. And the third slide here shows the grouted column, the rigid inclusion going into the ground in parcel A. Next slide, please. Construction job is providing as it says, 200, jobs daily and local participation. And what's really important is the meeting our goals of 25% SBE, 15% MWBE, and so on. We do drive very detailed into buying process, and this is a must to be part of the bidding process. We got to meet these, not just goal, we need to make these goals. So it's very important. And the labor agreement, we have a PLA. Gareth, do you want to add any words about the PLA?
Yeah, Bob, thanks. I was hoping I'd get a chance to jump in here before we dive into Rosanna's portion. Thank you for that. Yeah, just to reinforce what Bob said, as I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, this is an economic development project as much as it is a construction and operations project. Of course, there'd be no project without the latter, but just to make it clear that there is a desire to have, from the top down, certainly as many New Jersey firms participate in the construction and the procurement of this project. To give you an example, for the first phase, all of our precast concrete has been manufactured in New Jersey and delivered to the project through New Jersey using New Jersey companies. At the local level, as Bob had mentioned, there's a 5-county or so listing of firms in the project labor agreement for labor. We like to draw from the labor, but the local business in the project labor agreement, which is this is a union. If I had mentioned this before, this is a union project. We have executed an agreement, Tishman has, with the Southern New Jersey Building Trades that implements a very robust and a very progressive, if you will, project labor agreement. One of the factors in that agreement is that the project will allow up to 15% of its overall value to be local non-union firms, local from the Salem County area. The other element of the project labor agreement is the PLA is for this project only. So firms may join the project, sign up for the PLA, and then be able to pull the ripcord or exit that deal at the end of this project. So the PLA, I believe we have a summary sheet of that, and we could make that available. We will make the PLA available to bidders once they are in the system and pre-qualified, and we've determined them to be companies that can do the work. We provide that as part of the bid documents. And then of course, community is important. We have community involvement from the town of Lower Ice Creek. We are working with them on logistics and other things. In addition, the EDA has programs to bring women and minorities to the workforce, and also training within the. We do training, we do outreach to the community as far as how to get connected with the unions for work, for careers. So thanks, Bob. That's all I'll say on that. Next slide.
Good morning. I'm Rosanna Caputo with A. Tom Tishman. I'm the commercial manager here at the New Jersey Windport. I will be working side by side with Bob during this procurement process. These work packages that Bob laid out will be going out to bid in the next couple of weeks. Here's the timeline of the anticipated awards between the end of this month through late November. Construction at Parcel C1 West is set to start on or about February of 2024 and complete around September, October of 24. Next slide. As far as the procurement process, next slide too. As far as our procurement process, we start with getting any eligible interested companies trade tapped. Trade Tap is an online contractor pre-qualification and risk assessment platform we use to get contractors pre-qualified and approved to be on our bidders list. All interested potential bidders will be required to submit an application via Trade Tap. Once all the bidders are pre-qualified, we will send out a bid invitation for all of these packages via Building Connected, which is our electronic bidding system. You'll get the bid instructions and documents through the system. Bid RFIs will also be through Building Connected. In our bid invitation, we'll set up a pre-bid walkthrough so bidders can visit the site and inspect the work. All the bids are sealed in the system until the bid due date, when the bidding is locked and we open all the bids with the owner and start our scope review meetings with all the bidders, the owner, and the engineer. Once we evaluate and level all the bids, we issue a recommendation to award, which we call an RTA, to the owner for the lowest responsive bidder. The RTA is submitted through our Autodesk Build system, which is our cloud-based construction management system. Awards will be complete once the owner approves our RTA. So that sums up our procurement process. If anyone is interested in bidding any of these packages we laid out, there's an email address at the end of these slides where you can contact us. All we need to get the trade tap invite out is a contact name and an email address. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosanna. I appreciate that very valuable information. Before we open it up to questions and answers, I just want to thank everybody for their attendance. And again, I hope we were clear in what our desires are here as far as solicitation. We are again the construction manager at risk for the NJEDA at this project, and we are accepting inquiries and questions regarding primarily construction services. However, I would like to add that there are also opportunities for what we call vendor services and general conditions type items. So if you are not successful in winning a prime contract with AECOM-Tishman, there will still be many opportunities out there for firms to support the awarded primes. Because as Bob mentioned earlier, we do have a goal that was set forth in the slides for certain, we call them XBEs because it's easier to say XBE than it is to list all the various categories. But we require that all of our primes, whether they are in that category or not, to submit as part of their bid a diversity plan indicating how they will subcontract to vendors and suppliers and subcontractors of their own to meet the required goals of the project. This is a metric that is evaluated, and bids that do not provide such a plan will be deemed non-responsive. So again, thank you for your time. I think at this time, if my colleagues have nothing else to add, we'll open it up to some questions and answers. I see there are 3 on the board, Ben. Okay. So Rosanna and Bob, can you see those questions if you go to chat, just to make sure we...
Yes, I see the one about trade tap. If
Okay.
a contractor is already on trade tap, yes, you would still have to email us and let us know you're interested in this particular project and these packages, because trade tap gets renewed, the actual application gets renewed once a year, but also we go in and request approval to be job specific. So you would have to contact us on that email address and let us know that you're interested in bidding.
Great, thank you. I think if I could, Bob, I'll take question from Mr. Patel because I think you mentioned this, but it was we went over it quickly. So all of the documents are design, bid, build in a sense. They are lump sum contracts. I hope I came through on that. They're lump sum contracts. There are elements of the scope, as Bob mentioned in package 1 earthwork, that would be a design build by the contractor. So in the case of rigid inclusions or other, they will be provided with a performance specification, and we'll have to hire a firm that either includes their own engineering, a driller or a company that has their own engineering services in-house. And so that is about the only element of design build. There's certain elements of our project that are like our substation project, which is primarily an EPC contract. So that is not the case with any of the packages that we've outlaid for you today. But one piece that is a design build will be the rigid inclusions or the continuous modules columns. So let's see what we got here. Let's take these in order. So there was a question on the board earlier from someone regarding material management services. It's a bit broad for me to understand exactly what you're meaning, but I think my last comment said that if the services that we solicit, which we've put on the board here, don't seem to align with whatever that material management services is, and I would say likely not. We have trucking, and I should say that if we have trucking. Trucking is a service that is outsourced by a lot of our prime contractors, particularly on the precast delivery and the material deliveries in the way of DGA and material that are brought in, steel and so forth. So the way to do this is after the seminar is over, the webinar is over, and you've been provided with the list, is to go through there and look at what the business's primary work scope is and reach out and contact them. But we won't be hiring, Tishman will not be contracting directly for that type of service. So percentage goal for diversity content. So I think it's in the slides. Let's just say this, it's a mix. It is a goal, and we attempt to meet all of them as best we can. So we, a minority business enterprise that is a small business enterprise in the state of New Jersey, and I might add that these are New Jersey certifications. These are not, we need an SBE from New Jersey, not from Maryland or Delaware. They're additive in the case. So again, the bid documents will include a breakdown on this. What rider is it? We have a rider on our contract for this, right, Rosanna?
Yeah, it's a rider H.
Rider H. So our bid documents will detail that. Again, I'm going to take the question from Donna. Same way I took the last one, is materials. We don't buy materials directly. So that would come through the subs, through our subcontractors that will get the prime contracts. Rosanna, you want to take any more of these? I don't want to do all the talking. Let's see. Timelines were discussed in the presentation. See any of these you want to grab?
I was still at the top where it's asking about 20% of the jobs are union, which is not the case.
Correct. I said that, I think if you're referring to what I mentioned, I said that the PLA allows for 15% of the value of the project. So if something is $100, $15 of it can be done non-union. And that is by a local firm, by local firms. It's written specifically around Salem. Okay. Non-union companies can join, can sign up for the PLA, but must hire union labor for the duration of the project. Okay.
We would be able to provide a list of primes, right? So the suppliers can contact them for pricing.
Yes, so we typically do, we will do press releases. The Windport has a newsletter, which the council and the EDA provide, and we include in that newsletter notices of awards to primes for this project. And in the past, we have held webinars like this with what we call Meet the Primes. This is a rather small, in the grand scheme of things, this is a rather small. C1 West is not the largest of our packages. So some of that networking can happen today. You'll see the list and who looks like good targets.
About the WBE that provides on-site medical services, we currently already have medical services for the entire site. So at this time, we would not be procuring that.
Yes. Thank you, Rosanna. Again, I believe our focus, and I saw the list of attendees, and we specifically put categories on the registration sheet for a reason, because that's who we're targeting. So some of the, I'll just say this in a general context, consulting, general conditions, these are things that we've established in a lot of cases for the project. There could be opportunities. We just added another testing company recently because of the expansion of the project. Pretty good there. Safety, we do have a contract with an entity now who provides an EMT on site all the time we're working. Let's see. All deadline, everything that you want to know about deadlines on the bids will be in the bid package. Okay, so there's a few sort of follow-ups here. We'll do our best to get these out. We've about reached the bottom of the hour, so we'll get these questions answered and distributed to the attendees, Ben.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds good. We're hitting our time here. And just as a last reminder, we will send out a link to review this webinar along with the presentation, and we'll follow up with those offline with the questions that we didn't get to today.
So that's about it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, and good luck to you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.